7 health trends that I'm not buying into anymore and what to do instead. I'm Dr. Lisa Morse, naturopathic physician. There's so much information out there in your social media feeds, so much coming at you. It's hard to know which is right and which is wrong. The things I'm going to talk about today, I'm not saying they're no good at all and never do them, but they're not good for some people at certain times. So let's dive in. First, the cold plunge. Cold plunge for all. Getting your body into cold water, particularly after a sauna or a hot tub, can feel good. But if you are already having troubles with stress regulation, you're depleted, under-resourced, you don't have adequate minerals, adding another stressor onto yourself, such as a cold plunge, can be problematic. What to do instead? I like, for those people who are dealing with stress and depletion and all those things and health challenges, is a neutral bath. So ideally you have a bathtub. Hopefully you have one of those. Not everyone does. And you have the temperature. It can range as low as 92, which is a little chilly, but I like around like 98. So you need a thermometer to measure the temperature. You can just use a regular meat thermometer. But neutral bath, 98 degrees, you're like one with the water. And better yet, add some minerals. So many of us are depleted in minerals, including magnesium. So I like the magnesium flakes. Those are different than Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate. And that one is really good for detoxing. But neutral bath, 15 minutes to an hour with some minerals. Okay, the second one, GI map stool test. That's the answer. No, I'm not buying into that anymore. I did at one time do that test, but what I found is that people's gut problems were not showing up on the stool test, meaning I treat what showed up on the stool test and they still had gut problems. So what shows up on a GI map is maybe not causing your symptoms. An example of this is Helicobacter pylori. Frequently shows up positive on the GI map, but then you do a conventional Helicobacter pylori test, negative. Treat the Helicobacter pylori according to GI map, person still doesn't feel well. So what to do instead? I really don't like stool tests anymore for irritable bowel syndrome. At times, but for the most part, I like to start with the foundations, the things that are important for good digestive capacity, and most importantly, one of them being the nervous system regulation, because we know our nervous system regulates our gut. Okay, next one, carnivore for gut health. I just can't get behind this diet that people are doing. We know that, or I know that some people have reported they have a reduction in symptoms because they're not eating foods that are fermentable by bacteria in the gut. But it's not actually changing the ecosystem of your gut for better. It's starving the good bacteria that's in your gut. And then at times I've seen people, they aren't able to reintroduce foods. They actually feel worse when they try to reintroduce foods that have fiber. So what to do instead? So long term, I prefer a more diverse diet that includes plants that a person can tolerate. So this is tricky sometimes figuring that out. And sometimes I'll recommend a specific carbohydrate diet or a paleo diet initially, just temporarily, to try and calm things down, and then slowly implementing and expanding the diet. Okay, fourth one, just take more fiber. If you have IBS, you probably have heard that, especially with constipation. And it actually can be more aggravating. So if you're taking fiber and you're like, trust your intuition. Fiber, especially if you have slow gut motility, things moving through, what happens is the bugs in your 25 feet of small intestine end up eating that fiber, and then they produce gas, which causes the bloating and the discomfort. And so don't buy into the just add fiber to your diet. Yes, we want you to be able to have fiber, but sometimes we have to work on underlying things. And when you do add fiber, you want to do it slowly and systematically, maybe 3 to 4 grams a day. Okay. Next one is intermittent fasting. Now, it can be good for people who are overweight or have insulin resistance, which is type 2 diabetes. But again, this kind of matches up with the cold plunges. If you are depleted, stressed, you don't have the resources, your body doesn't have the resources, intermittent fasting can actually be harder. It's another physiological stressor on your body. The main goal is we want to reduce stress. It's so powerful. Okay, so, sorry, I want to just tell a quick story. When I tried intermittent fasting at one point, I thought it was great because I didn't have to cook that much, but shortly, 1 to 2 weeks in, I think it was maybe it was a little bit longer, my period stopped. My body was like, whoa, this is a stressor. She's not ready to have a baby, that's for sure. So, what to do instead of intermittent fasting? I really, really like 3 meals a day, no snacking, because when we leave that time between the meals, ideally around 4 hours, the migrating motor complex is able to work better. For those of you who don't know that, that's this wave that goes through your gut to move the food through and out of your gut. So the motility is better in your gut if you leave space in between meals. Okay, and then there's 2 more. The next one is the FODMAP Forever diet, people. Oh, that's tough because you feel like you can't tolerate FODMAPs, but the FODMAP is not a forever diet. It's a temporary diet. And the idea is that we want to figure out how to help your body be able to digest foods better. Again, it's a pretty restrictive diet, so it can cause more stress. And it also is low in fibers, so again, it's going to decrease your microbiome diversity. And so, especially if you are on the FODMAP diet, maybe figure out which one of I think there's 5 fermentable oligosaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Which one is the most aggravating, and incorporate the others. But then let's work on healing your gut, because the goal is not to have a lifelong of avoiding a certain food. The last one, antimicrobials without a strategy. If you have SIBO or have had SIBO and it keeps coming back, it's because there's a reason. The bugs are overgrowing. And so giving antimicrobials may help you feel better, but killing the microbes is not the whole solution. So if we're going to give antimicrobials, we need to have a strategy. Have to ask why they're overgrowing in the first place. Some common reasons are inadequate digestive capacity, not enough stomach acid, not enough bile, or not enough pancreatic enzymes. And if you don't address those things, you're just going to end up on the antimicrobial merry-go-round, which is not fun and frustrating. So focus on or figure out where you need support with that. Okay, so those are the 7 gut health trends, or gut health too, but 7 health trends that I'm not buying into, and hopefully you've learned something today. And if you need more support, let me know. Send me a DM. You can get on my Digestive Peace Plan priority list. Doors are going to be opening again soon. And so I look forward to helping you. Take care, everybody.